All right, we are live. Hello, TechPod family. Oh wow, everyone's in the chat already. Awesome. Yeah, so I have Jay Taylor with us today. I got in a coffee chat with him a couple weeks ago, and the stuff that he was saying just really blew my mind. I think his um, story is super inspiring. By the way, I never introduced myself. I'm Joseph. I'm one of the co-founders here at TechPod. We organize these weekly events every week, and we have a newsletter that is focused on helping you guys get internships and jobs in the business side of the tech industry. And I'm super excited to have Jay. He is currently a staff product manager at Salesforce. Sorry, not Salesforce, at Twitter. He was at Salesforce before, previously, which is the company I did my internship at too. Um, but the coolest thing about Jay's story, in my opinion, is that he doesn't have a degree in CS, which is something that's common for a lot of tech podcasts. But I think that even cooler is that he doesn't have any degree at all, and he learns all this stuff on his own. So I think his story is like very inspiring, and he has a ton of actionable tips and advice for you guys today. So yeah, I'll just let him take the stage. Hey, Jay.
Hey, how's it going, guys? All right. Well, I am really excited to present to you guys today. So, I know the screen will be a little bit small, but I think it'll be okay. I'm going to tell you a lot of things that are going to be really unconventional. Typically when you get tips as to what you should do or what shouldn't you do, I mean, a lot of people have a tendency to tell you the same things, but I'm going to be very real. I've been a hiring manager for Microsoft, Expedia, Salesforce, and now Twitter. And I've got a very different path for you. What Joseph was saying earlier too, like I'm very non-traditional, but I believe in standing out. I believe in being in demand. And if you do that, then you don't have to worry about your career. So let's dive into it. I got a lot of material to cover. So I'm not like a slides expert. So I'm sorry, they're not beautiful, but hopefully the content is solid enough. All right. So first disclaimer, everything I say is just pure my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. It does not represent the companies I work for or what they think. This is just what I think. All right, so what are you going to learn? Why I'm in demand and how to replicate what I did starting today. So I'm going to give you some big boulders to think about, but then also some very actionable things that you can start implementing yourself. All right, so I'm going to give an intro to myself. I want to identify the problem I want to help you guys solve. I want to explain why I'm in demand. And then finally, give you 7 steps to take in 2021. So it's a new year. It's an opportunity to do something different, do something big. And then we'll do some Q&A. Actually, and I have a special invitation for you. So if you can, try to stick around to the end so you can see what that is. All right. So here's me. I started as an office assistant, an administrative assistant. I had no degree at the time. I still don't have any degree. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I'm 100% self-taught. And I think that this is important because even if you add all that together, plus the fact that I'm a minority, I'm probably the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And the reason that's important is because many of you might be just like me or have a few more tools than I do. So if I can do it, you absolutely can do it. So I want to show you how I did it. So now I am a staff product manager at Twitter, and I founded a company called MentorMesh.io. So MentorMesh is a community where basically I help people to get careers in tech. I help them to think the right way. I bring the community together, people that are on that same journey, regardless of where they are. If they're brand new or they're a little bit more senior, I think all of us have a lot of fundamental things that we need to get really good at. And so I try to share that in my community. And I've worked for some other companies too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey. For those of you that have heard my talks, bear with me. But I think it's important to my story and the reason why I think the way that I do. So my story. So I started in Washington State government. So I was an office assistant. I actually worked for Washington State government for about 10 years total. And Although it was a good job at the time, I was told my whole life that that's where I should go. And then that was the best job to have because I grew up in Olympia, Washington, which was the capital of Washington State. And so that's what I grew up thinking. I thought I already made it. Everybody else was, making $5 an hour at the time. I was an office assistant making like 12 to 15. So I thought I had made it. I had a brand new Honda and, life was good. But as time got on, it was more like things started to get more expensive. So I had, two daughters at the time. And I just wanted to do more for them. I wanted to provide more for them. Somebody's asking about my background poster. Keep calm, prepare to lose. I'm a gamer. I love to game. And my grit poster, because that's what this is all about. This is about grit. All right. Okay. So I tried to go get a job in tech. A lot of people would not consider me because I didn't have a bachelor's degree, like I said. So what do? If nobody was going to hire me, I was going to hire myself. And so that's exactly what I did. I started my own software consulting company, and I didn't have a lot of experience at this time. I had, a little bit of experience, and to be honest, I hadn't done a lot. So I would still say that I was very, very junior, but I started a software consulting company. Now that sounds like, wow, you need to have all this experience first before. That's not true. You just need to know more than your client. Right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But for a lot of you that don't have any experience, you can go get your experience. Okay. The technology world, the world that we live in, having an entrepreneurial spirit will change your life. And I'll talk more about that. But that's what I did. I started software consulting. Let's see. Come on. Let's go. I partnered with another CEO and we did a startup called VenScreen. And it was wildly successful. We got 35 million in venture capital funding. I was introduced to what the VC world was like. It was great. But then this is when the financial crisis started to hit and I started to lose clients. And so this is where I had a little bit of a shakeup in my life, which a lot of people are having now, right? So when you lose your job or there's economic downturn, learn from those lessons, okay? Think about what you could have done better to put yourself in a better position next time. But I learned that back in 2009, 2010. So this is when I applied to go to Expedia. Now, here's the critical part about getting to Expedia. The first time I actually applied at Expedia, they didn't accept me. They actually rejected me. Okay, I went through the interview process. They wanted me to do math in my head. They even made it super simple and was trying to go by tens. I can't do math in my head. I bombed the interview. But you know what? It is what it is. I came back maybe 9 months later and I applied for a temp role. Now, I'll tell a lot of you guys the easiest way to get into a big tech company is through a temp role, okay? Because the bar is lower because they need to hire quickly, right? Now, should I be offended that the bar was lower? No. When I got hired, they gave me a job that they thought would take me about 3 months. I wanted to prove a point, and so I finished that job in 2 weeks. So that's something that I think is really important when you have an opportunity, and whether you're doing an internship, or you're doing a contract role, go to impress. That is why you are there, to make connections and prove that you deserve a seat at the table. And that's exactly what I did. And so another hiring manager saw the work that I was doing, and she hired me as a full-time FTE. The difference is they could confidently hire me because they saw me do the work. Now, the lesson with that is just because you fail an interview doesn't mean that you're not qualified, okay? Not only did I get hired at Expedia, but I built 3 different engineering organizations when I was there, pioneering new ideas and new capabilities within the company. So I was very impactful when I was at Expedia. So obviously I was qualified, but the hiring process, I mean, it's really flawed. So keep that in mind. Just because you get rejected or have a hard time getting through the gauntlet of hiring, that doesn't mean that you're not qualified. All right, so I started to outgrow the opportunities at Expedia, and then this is when I went to Microsoft. A lot of stories I could tell here, but really I got into Microsoft the easiest way that I could get in. The team that I was on was fairly easy to get into, in my opinion. And what I'll tell a lot more about this later, but I ended up switching teams into something I was more interested in. But again, I got there by being very much an entrepreneurial-minded person. Yes, a temporary role is a contract role, same thing. And this is when I went to Salesforce. Now, Salesforce is actually can be very difficult to get into because I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm sure it's like 90% probably of the people that are at Salesforce were there because they were given a referral directly by someone. And that's how I got there. I impressed a manager that I worked with at Microsoft. And she was like, hey, Jay, I really could use your help at Salesforce. And so that's how I got there. So we'll talk about the importance of referrals as well. And so now I'm at Twitter. Now, the important part of Salesforce and Twitter in my career is that I'm at a place where I can choose work-life balance, flexibility, and money. And this is what I want to teach you guys to be able to do, right? You don't have to choose. You don't have to work yourself to death. There are ways to get both, all of it. I feel like I have all of it. But I got to a point where now I have 4 daughters. Before I had 2. I needed work-life balance. I needed to be home for my family. And so I intentionally targeted the companies that would allow me to do that. Salesforce is known for great work-life balance and they take care of their employees. It's absolutely true. And so far, at Twitter, it seems to be true as well. And that's also why I came here. So that's why I'm here. So that's my story in brief. There's obviously a lot more details. So let's talk about the problem that maybe some of you are dealing with, okay? I think this should resonate with a lot of you. You want a great career. That's why you're on this webinar. Or you want a better career. Maybe you have an okay job. Maybe you're already a PM. Maybe you're already a dev, but you wish you could do more. And so that's why we're here. A lot of people will say, go get credentials. Go get a bachelor's, MBA. You want to be a dev, you got to have a computer science degree. Go to training, go to boot camps, get certifications, right? When people think about changing into different domains, especially tech, because tech, that must mean you have to be technical, right? That's not true. But this is exactly where they go. They go directly to domain expertise. I have to be an expert in this technical area. That's what they say. And even after you do all the credentials, you still can't get the job that you're trying to get. You apply, but then there's like 1,000 other people that are applying. And so now it's like, how do you even stand out? And then I've had people even question, is tech even popping? Like I thought there was all these jobs, but I can't get a job, So let me reassure you, tech is growing at a phenomenal rate. There are 1 million jobs. The problem is, actually, there's a lot of problems, and we'll talk about all of those. But one of the problems is that nobody knows who you are. You're not being seen. You might have all the credentials in the world, but if nobody sees you, then I can't even appreciate your credentials. So, or maybe you have the job and you're busting your butt and your boss won't promote you. Like you see other people beside you getting promoted and you're like, man, this is like, he's only promoting his buddies. Like what is going on? Like that happens all the time too. And you put all this work in and you're still not getting the recognition that you want. Well, I got answers for all of this. So bear with me. All right. So before we start getting into solutioning, let's take a big step back. And this is the part that I really think you guys should think about, because usually what happens, especially when you think about getting into tech or picking a role, people want to get really specific. I want to be a product manager. I want to be a software engineer, a web software engineer. And that's the first place they go. Let me tell you what my goals are, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. My career goals. The choice to do what I want. That's it. That has nothing to do with domain. I want to do whatever I want, however I want, when I want. Now, how do you get that though, right? Like when I go to a job, I don't want my boss to give me a list of directions and tell me exactly what I need to do. I want to be able to look at the problems and help in that conversation, actually do what I think is impactful. That's what I want. I want to be impactful. So, leave me alone. Let me be impactful. How do you do that? You got to be in demand. They have to have been begging for you. If they were begging for you and your expertise, they are going to listen to you. But if you were begging to get in, it's a very different relationship, right? I also want the best life for my family. Now, there's 2 components to this. So number 1, it's flexibility. Like I said, I've got 4 daughters from ages 1 all the way to 18. They all live at home. And so they want to see their dad. I've got a lot of kids. I think it's really important that they see me. I don't want to miss their growing up because I'm too busy working. So I can't work at a job that's trying to slave me to death. I can't do 60, 70 hours a week just because somebody wants me to. It's not an option for me. So I need flexibility. If I got to take them to the doctor, if I've got appointments, family engagements, vacations, I need flexibility. And I need money because families are expensive. You know, you go on a normal vacation, maybe it's just you and your significant other. That's one thing. I've got to buy 6 tickets. You know, it's way more expensive, right? So, and I think about that. I want to give them the best life that I can give them, you know? So that's what's important to me. And don't be afraid to say money. There's nothing wrong with saying that you want to make good money, because money translates into quality of life. And who doesn't want to have good quality of life for their family? All right. So why be in demand? And actually, real quick, so Vicky asked, how did my career goals develop over time? I tell you, like, as I go through my story, I did what a lot of you did. You know, like, I didn't grow up an entrepreneur. I didn't wake up at 16 and then become an entrepreneur. And I said, and Jay just figured it out. He just knew it from birth. I didn't. Okay. I actually didn't start my software company until I was in my late 20s. This is why I think this conversation is so important for you, right? Regardless of where you are in your life, especially if you're younger, if you make some of the decisions that I'm talking about earlier, you can get to where I am faster, because I got here quick once I figured out what I was doing. So a lot of my opinions, everything I say, I have probably 100 stories as to why I feel this way, which is why sometimes you'll hear a lot of conviction in my voice, because I can't imagine a better way, you know? I'm sure they exist, but I don't know what they are. Okay. Those that in demand have freedom and control. Remember what I said I wanted, like my big goals, right? I want freedom and control. I want to skip the application process. I don't want to get in line with all 1,000 people, because that's the problem when you apply online. You and everybody else with their bachelor's degrees and certifications are all applying online, you know, and here's the thing. When you think about the hiring process, that has to go through the initial recruiter before the hiring manager even has to make that decision. So, and think about it, it's not reasonable that a recruiter has the same amount of knowledge that the hiring manager has as far as identifying good applicants, right? They are trying to interpret what I, as the hiring manager, want. And they're doing their best, right? But the reality is, if you could be super qualified, if you don't use the right words, you may not even come on the radar. And that's a shame, right? So I say skip the whole process. And when you're in demand, that's exactly what happens. When the recruiters reach out to you, you go straight to the hiring manager. There's no line. Okay, you go straight to the hiring manager. That has been my experience for the past 8 years. I have not applied online for a job in 8 years. Every single job, a recruiter or hiring manager has come directly to me, and then I apply, and then you know, I either get it or I don't. But you still have to do the application, or excuse me, the interview process, but at least you're seen and you don't have to wait in line. And I think that's really important. And also, don't think that you have to pick between best pay, work-life balance, and flexibility. Hiya, what does that mean? How have it all? That's what that means. I forgot why I even put that there. You can have it all. I have really good pay, very flexible schedule, really good work-life balance, you know, and an incredible brand name. You know, you don't have to choose. You can have it all. And my career is 100% on autopilot. And I'm going to tell you why. What is the formula? So this is just a pet peeve of mine, but I'm just going to throw this out there. For people that keep telling you to do what you love, I can't stand that statement, because it's illogical. What does what you love have anything to do with making money and providing for your family? What if what you love is making bread, you know, but everybody's allergic to gluten? Are you still going to do what you love? I mean, anyways, that's not a basis of making a career decision. For me, again, think about my principles, right? I want to be impactful and I want to care for my family. So every career decision I make, those are the pillars. Is this role, is that job going to fulfill that for me? So if you want to make money and be in demand, you have to do what people need. You have to have skills that they want. You have to do what's in demand. That's just logical. Now, the spin on that you should do really is play to your strengths, right? Know what you're good at. Because if you're good at something, you probably like it. Even if you don't love it, you probably like it because you're good at it, right? So if you know what your strengths are, play to your strengths, know what they are. And there is a place for you in tech, because tech is not just software engineers. Yes, there's a lot of those, but there's a lot of other types of roles in there that will play to your strengths. So know what they are. And here's a tip. A lot of people just want to be happy, okay? In my experience, I found that happiness is more impacted by your direct manager and the culture of the company than by your role. Because if you have this amazing, fantastic role, but your boss sucks, you're not going to like your job. You know, you're not going to like your job. That's just my advice, but that's really because if happiness is what you're looking for, then look for good culture and like your boss. Like make sure it's the type of person that you want to work for, because they can make or break your happiness, in my experience. Okay, so I'm going to boil this down to 7 steps that I think are priority that you got to consider, okay? Mindset shift. First off, this is going to be a big one because, again, when you think of switching careers, when you think of getting promotions, everybody goes to expertise and certifications. Now, I'm not saying those things don't have value, but I think there are other things that have a lot more value. Okay, I added this extra slide, and this is really what I want to talk about. Mindset is more important than domain expertise. And I'm gonna give you 2 reasons, okay? And these are good stories, okay? Hopefully there's people at Microsoft here. I love you, but I learned some lessons over there, okay? So when I was at Microsoft, I was hired at a senior level, and they told me that I needed to wait 3 years to be promoted. And there's several levels to senior. So for me to make principal, which is the next significant jump, I needed to wait 6 years. Like 6 years. And to me, that statement in itself is illogical. How can you judge my promotion based on time and not performance? It's illogical. You're telling me if I come up with this amazing idea and make Microsoft $100 million, I still got to wait 6 years to get promoted? Ridiculous, right? It couldn't. And I argued with them. I said, that's ridiculous. There's no way. So finally, I just leave Microsoft and I go to Salesforce. Okay. So recently, this is the cool part. So recently I changed to Twitter, but I actually had a competing a competing offer from Microsoft Xbox. They found me on LinkedIn, they loved me, and they gave me an offer that was higher than principal, right? It's only been 2 years since I left Microsoft at this time, maybe 2.5 years. They offered me a principal level role at the top of the pay scale 2 years after I leave Microsoft. If I would have stayed at Microsoft and tried to get that promotion, it would have taken me 9 years, according to Microsoft, but to the people that were there. It's not true. Okay, stop thinking that barriers exist. There are people around you that are going to say, you're not qualified because you don't have this credential. You're not qualified because you don't have a MBA. You need a PhD before you hit that level. None of that is true. This is an impact game, okay? This is an impact game, period. So anybody that tries to tell you stuff that you're not qualified, especially that statement in itself, don't believe it, okay? Get qualified. Now, here's the cool thing about Xbox when I talk about mindset over domain expertise. The position they wanted to hire me for was to lead the xCloud game streaming platform. I know nothing about game streaming. I know nothing about streaming. I have never done anything professional in gaming. And this is not just a position. My job would have been to be the thought leader to lead Microsoft into the next revolution of game streaming. This is like the Netflix of gaming. Gaming, for those that know, is one of the biggest platforms, makes more money than most all other entertainment combined, right? I was supposed to be a thought leader in an area where I knew nothing. Why would they do that, right? Think about that for a minute. Because you think that if I said, hey, I want to be Xbox game streaming lead, I just have to go learn about game streaming, right? Like that would be the first place that most people go. It's not true. And I'll tell you fundamentally why. Technology changes too fast. You can't always find experts. Sometimes the technology is only 2 years old. How are you going to find somebody with 8 years experience? You're not. There's a core set of leadership and learning principles that you have to have, and you have to have demonstrated throughout your career. And that's what they're looking for. What they looked for is, can Jay learn this? Has he done anything that shows that he can take something technical and boil it down to something simple? Has he done it before? Is he flexible? Is he the type of person that can learn quickly? That's what they're looking at. It's so, yes, if you have domain expertise, it can help you. But if I had to stack rank what was most important, it wouldn't be domain expertise. You don't have to jump to role and jump to specialty, all right? And there's other reasons for that. But I just want to throw that out there. Don't always believe what you're told. It's not always about getting certified and looking intelligent, okay? There's a lot more elements to the game than that. Okay, step number 1, learn the entrepreneurial mindset. So remember, when nobody would hire me, I started my own company. I absolutely 100% advise that you do the same thing. If you are looking for a job in tech and you can't find it, and even if you do find it and you have one and it's okay, think about starting your own startup. I learned so many lessons that are just, they made me who I am. And even when I go to tech companies now, I'm not like everybody else because the majority of people there have never ran their own company. They don't know what that's like. But when you focus on impact and you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you care about providing value over looking good because you are only judged by your impact. If clients don't like what you give them, they don't pay you. If bosses don't like what you give them, they give you a poor performance review and maybe you don't get a promotion, but you still get paid. So the level of pressure is really, really different. So think about that. Listen, understand the real problem, not just the symptom. This is something I learned by doing consulting. A lot of times customers will say that they have a problem. And if you just give them what they say, they're like, Jay, I need this dashboard. And you just blindly, okay, I'll make this dashboard. And you give them the dashboard. Yeah, sure. They might be happy because you gave them what they want. But what if you started asking questions? What do you need the dashboard for? What problem do you think this is going to solve? And have that conversation with them. And you might find out that they don't need a dashboard at all. They're actually trying to get visibility to a bigger problem. Now, think about the value you add if you have that conversation and actually help them realize that that's actually not what they need. They need something different. Now you are so valuable to them because you're not a soldier. You are somebody that's going to bring thought leadership. You're going to ask insightful questions. Listen, understand the problem, and fix the real problem, not just the symptom. All right. Be proactive. Don't wait to be told what to do. Most people, when they come into jobs, they wait to be told what to do. Don't do that. You can't do that. You want to stand out, do your research, talk to people, network, know people, find the problems and suggest, collaborate. Don't wait. One thing you can do is solve a common problem. Now, I did this at Expedia, fix something old, build something new. Man, all you have to do is when you build relationships with people, they love to commiserate with you and tell you what's wrong, okay? Listen to a bunch of people, figure out what's wrong. Sometimes it's about making connections between people that don't know each other. You hear this person complaining about something, this person is complaining about the same thing. Then you think, you know what? I bet you we could solve this way. You get them to work together and all of a sudden you've solved a major problem and pain point within the company. I did that. I created some of the first portfolio dashboards across Expedia because the problem was a lot of the engineering teams kept shipping late or over budget. They kept asking for more money and they were always delivering late. Part of the problem was that nobody knew what anybody was working on. And so I started a project where we basically pulled all of the data of the tracking systems together and started having a consolidated look as to everything people were working on. That in itself started conversations that allowed us to change the way we did things at Expedia. So find a problem, fix it. Build something new. At Microsoft, again, entrepreneurial mindset. So as I was doing one role, I had a lot of time on my hands because I realized that the role just wasn't, I don't know if it should have been full-time. Maybe I should have been part-time. I don't know. But I was thinking, what could I do? What could I do? I want to make impact. And so I started building chatbots. That was not my job. I was a program manager. But again, being able to use technology does not require the expertise experience of everything that's happening inside of it. You don't need to know. Like think of driving a car. Do you have to understand how an engine works in order to drive a car? No. You need to understand how to use a car, why to use a car, how to operate the steering wheel and shift gears and the brake, right? That's it. I don't know what happens under that hood as long as it works, right? Technology is a lot like that too. You can use tools and not really know how they work, but you understand how to use them and the context around them. And so with chatbots, that's kind of how it went. Like Microsoft had a bunch of tools. I started building chatbots. I wanted to automate myself out of a job. I got the attention of the Power BI team. They were interested in what I was doing. They thought that they could implement my chatbot in the community. And so I ended up joining the Power BI team, right? And why did I do that? I needed to show everybody around me that I was a lot more than my role. And they took note. And it got me places. Now, did we ever implement that chatbot? No, but that really wasn't the point. The point was Jay gets things done. He thinks out of the box. He asks the right questions, right? These are the things that are important. That was a long one. Some of these are going to go a little faster, hopefully. Learn to influence without authority. Now, this is incredibly important. Your ability to influence people is more important than your technical skills, especially if you're a PM, whether that's product or program management. Somebody's asking me an interview question. I feel like I should answer this because that's a very popular one, is how do you approach your manager about the idea? So let me revisit that real quick. You have to, so you don't always want to ask permission. Sometimes that's like a kicker, you know? You go gather your data, you basically understand all you need to understand to feel confident that this is something that's good. Don't agonize over trying to build something fantastic, but put together an MVP, basically a proof of concept. And when you pitch, kind of say, hey, look, this is what I made. What do you think about this? And if it hits the right chords, it'll be like, oh, well, could you do that for this group? And that's like, yeah, all I need is this, this, and this. So that's a lot of it is about showing proof of concept, but you got to do your research. So-and-so over here is complaining about this, and I've heard this all over the company. Do you agree that's true? Yeah, I've heard that too. Then everybody's like, yeah. You understand that there's a common problem. Nobody's going to fight you against the problem because you know that that's what it is, and that's why you chose it, because you know they're going to want it solved. And if you come with a good solution that's low risk and high reward, they're gonna pay attention. So you want to take incremental steps and build relationships so that you pick the problems they want to solve. Don't just pick something arbitrary. Pick a big problem or just a quick win, but something that you know that they want to solve. All right. Large technology organizations, especially, and a lot of big companies in general, are very matrixed. Somebody asked me, what does it mean to lead and influence without authority? Well, that's what you do when you're a product manager or a program manager. So because these big companies are matrixed, you have a program management team, a product management team, an engineering team, a front-end team, a corporate legal team, a marketing team, a communications team. And these, I'm not making these up. Like, these are all teams that you have to work with. And when you work with people like that, none of them report to me. And especially if you're a product manager, maybe you own a product or service, but you don't physically create this service. You don't design this service. There's a design team, right? Your job many a times is to own the solution, the vision, and the strategy for the role, but you have to get collaboration between all of these different teams. This is more than a product management quality. This is a leadership quality. If you look at my resume, I have been a program manager, a product manager, an engineering manager, a BI analyst. I've had all kinds of roles, but I actually do all of the jobs almost identically. So that's why I say too, like, don't worry so much about role all the time. It's not always about role. Have the fundamental skill sets that get you where you want to go. Because I feel I can pretty much do most roles, especially leadership roles. Right? Like, I can lead a data science team without knowing a lot about data science, because leadership is about collaboration, build trust. I put that here, right? Build trust across a company. What do product managers do? I need to build trust across all of these matrixed people so that we can come together for a unified strategy to move forward. What do program managers do? You're helping the engineering team. You're clearing out blockers. How do you do that? You build solid, trusting relationships across the organization, and you influence without authority. That is what you do. What do engineering managers do? You empower your devs to do great work. How do you do that? If they need help, you probably need help from another team. What are you doing? Influencing and gathering trust across the organization. This is not just about PM foundations, right? We're talking about leadership qualities. When you become a VP or a senior director in any role, do you really think, if you're data science senior director, do you think you're data sciencing? I got news for you. You're not. You're a leader now. Your job is to make sure your data scientists have everything they need to execute. Now you're a career coach, you are a mentor, you are a collaborator, and you are bringing trust across the organization. That's what leaders do, okay? So what I'm talking about is not just for PMs. This is for anyone who wants to be a leader. So how do you build trust? People will say that. To me, this is a very, very simple and easy answer. Emotional intelligence is the buzzword that you'll hear, but learn them. If I want you to trust me, I have to help you first. In order for me to help you, I need to know what you need help with. Just meet people, be human, talk to them, find out what's going on, care about their careers, care about their job, care about what they need to execute on, and find an excuse to help them first. Don't meet them and then say, hey, my team needs some of your support. You need to fix your roadmap. Here's my data that supports that you need to help me. They're like, who are you? What? Everybody is busy. I tell people, I get 200 to 300 emails a day. Okay. I don't necessarily try to ignore people. I may not see your email because I get too many, right? But if you know people and you have a trusting relationship with them, your name just automatically stands out when I see it. And I'm more likely to give your message some thought, right? Build trust by servant leadership. You serve them first. Leaders make everybody around them better first. That is your job. You do that, you build trust, people love you, then you can execute on any plan. Customer focus. Now, here's the thing, okay? This is kind of an important slide. I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Customer focus. Stop trying to make your boss look good. Your boss better care about the customer. Your boss better care about results. And if they do, they'll like you, right? Don't brown nose. Don't worry about what they want. Worry about the purpose and objective of the team that you're on. What problem are you trying to solve? If it's for a customer, go solve that. Do whatever it takes to solve that. All right. Sometimes that means you have to go against the grain and maybe convince your boss. But as long as you strategically look for what's most important, you execute on what's most important, and we get the results that we want, your boss should be happy. And if they're not, maybe it's time you find another boss. Remember what I said about your relationship with your boss. If your boss does not prioritize the customer and what's most impactful, then they're a politician and you need to go somewhere else. I would never. So anyway, most people, again, are not entrepreneurs, and so they don't think about impact. They think about just doing well in their career. And what that means is making your boss happy. I don't play that game. I don't think you should play that game. It doesn't work. Because what happens, again, like what I say here, don't pursue promotions. Why? Because you're going to bust your butt for a 5% raise. Now, I'm just speaking as a hiring manager. It's typically that. You're going to get a 5% raise. You're going to bust your butt for 2 years and 3 years and get a 5% raise. And if you get more than that, it's typically because you were underpaid to begin with. If anything else, they're paying back a debt, right? But if you don't feel valued in your company, go to another one. That's amazing about the tech industry. We are the hot commodity. We call the shots, right? If your company is not giving you the opportunities to grow like you want to grow, then leave. Every time when I moved between Microsoft, Salesforce, and Twitter, my total compensation went up by between $100,000 and $150,000 every move. So for those of you that didn't know, tech leaders in big tech industries make a lot more money than you think that we do. So this is not a little game, right? So you can bust your butt for that 5% raise, or you can always pursue growth. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to move. I'm saying when you make your decisions and you do deliver for the customer, you are doing that because it's good for them and it's good for you. Stop catering to what your boss wants, because if your boss is a good boss, they will love that you're doing what I'm saying. They want you to deliver for your customer because that's their customer. That should make them excited. If it doesn't, that's a red flag. The tech industry is full of opportunities. All right, the power of brand. Ooh, I'm coming up on time here. I got to move on. All right, be known. Hey, a lot of you guys are on this call are probably qualified for the job that you want. So some of that is you just have to realize that. The imposter syndrome thing, that means you're stretching, okay? If you feel like you don't know enough, it's good because you are intentionally being uncomfortable and it's good. Be uncomfortable. That's what growth feels like. So go grow. But some of you are actually ready. You're already qualified. But the problem is nobody knows you. I mean, they would give you an opportunity, but they don't know who you are because you're applying the same way everybody else is applying. So here's two key things that are important. Brand, be known. Your personal brand. Referrals are incredibly valuable. If somebody refers you because they think you're an amazing worker because they worked for you, that's worth more than your college degree. I'm sorry, but it is. Because if I refer you, I'm using my reputation to say that you're good. They assume I know what good looks like. And so if I give them a candidate, at minimum, you will be interviewed. Now, it's up to you to pass the interview gauntlet, but you will be interviewed. So skip the application process, be known. LinkedIn is such an incredible way to do this. 800 million people on LinkedIn and only 1% of people post. So what does that mean if you post? You're part of the 1%, right? LinkedIn is not a Facebook. It is a professional network. Don't be stingy with your connections. Connect with everybody. It's your online resume. Who do you want to see your resume? Everybody. You don't have to reach out to recruiters. Reach out to hiring managers. Reach out to senior people that have the jobs that you want. Because guess who can refer you later if you build a relationship with them over time? If I'm a hiring manager and I need to hire a dev, I'm going to think about people that I know, or I'm going to ask my devs, who do you know? I'm going to ask that before I say, well, I wonder what college we're going to choose for. I mean, it's irrelevant. I need to execute now. I don't have time for all that. Who do you know that's good? Yeah, go get them. That's the way it goes because that's how you move fast. Xbox, the Xbox example that I said earlier with xCloud, how do they find me? My posts on LinkedIn. I post pretty regularly on LinkedIn, and that's how he got to understand me as a person, my personal brand. We are more than a resume. We are more than a document. How do you stand out? Show the business world what you look like. Show them what you think. Comment on other people's posts. Tell them what you think. Because if they care, they're going to look, and they will look. What does Jay hold as valuable? And that's how he knew. Company brand. This is also incredibly important. People make assumptions about me strictly because of the brands that I've worked for. That's why my career is on autopilot and I don't apply. They literally look at my resume and say, Expedia, Microsoft, Salesforce, Twitter, Jay must be fantastic. Otherwise, these companies never would have hired him. Is that true? I mean, I'd like to think I'm pretty smart. But they don't think that hard, I promise you. All they see is the brand. So what I say is, especially if you want to take care of your family, remember that. All those things I was talking about, the big goals, you want to put yourself in a position where you are in demand. If you work for these big tech companies and get some of them on your resume, you become in demand. When I got Microsoft on my resume, Amazon was calling me every month. Amazon, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Oracle. I mean, you name them, Redfin, all of them, all kinds of sizes, contact me regularly. It's a much better place to be in. And yes, there are things that you are passionate about that you may want to do. We'll get there. But let's feed your family first. Let's make you in demand first so that as you figure out what it is you want to do, you're not jobless, right? Like let's do that first. Now, part of the reasons why these brands are popular is because there's a couple of things. One, they make an assumption about your complexity of projects that you've worked on and the scale that you've worked on. These companies are so big, they make the assumption that you have worked in super matrixed organizations and huge scale. There's a very big difference between somebody that manages a website that gets 5,000 people a month versus 10 million, right? It's different. It's architecturally different. So they make that grand assumption because of your brand. All right. Man, I got a lot more stuff to go through. I got to speed up. Okay. Learn what matters. Okay. This goes back to my thing about knowing what your strengths are and learning what's in demand. This is not about doing what you love. Okay. Now, if what you love happens to be in demand, then you are a very fortunate person and I'm very envious of you. But if you want to make good money and be in demand, you got to pay attention to what's happening in the market. And so this is what I tell a lot of people: brand over role. Sometimes it's better to do what's available. So I'll give an example. Everyone, and I'm sorry, some of you on this call want to be data scientists. I think it's a fantastic career. There's definitely jobs to be data scientists, and there are a lot. It's a growing industry, right? But if you compare the amount of data science jobs to software engineering jobs or even PM roles, it's not the same. There's way more jobs in those other categories. And so it's kind of a numbers game. Like if you are all competing for the same 3 jobs in a company, there's just a higher chance you're not going to get it just because there's only 3 jobs. But if you pick a job that's more in demand, that there's more of, that's just math. I mean, I can't do it in my head, but I can do that, right? So I want you guys to start thinking like that. Like this is about getting in, because even if you get into a company that's amazing, but you don't love the role, but your boss is cool, you're going to like your job. And half the time when you're trying to pick, I want to be this or that, you've never had that job, so you don't even know if you'd even like it. But when you get in, go meet those teams. You want to be a data scientist, I say get into Microsoft or a company like that as a technical program manager, because it's an easier way to get in. And then go talk to the data science team and do a project with them. They'll let you do that. Big tech companies love for you to help each other and often foster those types of cross matrix relationships. So go do that. Go learn, right? You might find that you don't want to be a data scientist. Isn't it great to know that after you're already employed versus, your whole life thinking that that's what you want to do, and then you end up not doing it? And then you can transfer to that team. People move around in companies all the time. I did that at 3 of the companies that I talked about. I did that at Expedia. I did that at Microsoft. I did that at Salesforce. I got into a team the easiest way I could get in. And then I did a good job, so I could have a good reputation. And then I met other teams and I looked around. I said, I'd rather do that. Built a relationship, did stuff with them, and then moved. It happens all the time. Now, do what's hot. PM is hot. Data is hot. Cloud is hot. Those are such big categories, but you can't lose there. Cloud is why the world is moving as fast as it is, and data is the lifeblood of business. Okay, you can be from the business end all the way to the super deep technical end. You can pick where you want to be on that spectrum, and you have the choice to go back and forth. And and then this is another point, right, with roadmap. So a lot of PMs and stuff, they get really caught into the different frameworks you should know, right? And I'm not saying that those frameworks don't have value, but there's things that matter more. And consistently throughout my career, the number one thing I am 100% always asked for are roadmaps. And you might create product requirement docs. And so I think that you should focus on those things, right? Simple definition of cloud. The simplest definition is it's someone else's computer running in a warehouse. That's what the cloud is. You understand what the PC is, right? It's just a computer that's sitting on your desk. All the cloud is these big companies have basically bought mega computers, put them in a warehouse, and they allow you to use it over the internet. That's really all the cloud is. It's just someone else's computers, but they've built them at large scale. So there's a lot of power in their machines versus your home computer. And so all these companies will use cloud machines. What that means is instead of Bank of America buying their own huge data centers to host their web services, they decide to use Amazon Web Services and say, you know what, let's use your machines because you know how to manage those better and can probably do it cheaper than I can. And I don't want to hire all those people and manage that. So I'm just going to use your machines. That's essentially what the cloud is. Now, I don't know if Bank of America is using AWS. That's just an example. All right, get the right experience. So back to what I said before. If nobody is hiring you, hire yourself. If you want to be a product manager, but you don't have product manager experience, build a product. Find people in the community that are junior just like you and go build something together. Because it doesn't matter if your company that you build fails or not. That experience counts. All of our top companies right now are all garage startups that did get success. But even if they failed, all of that experience counts and you put it on your resume. It's not fake experience. Don't believe that. You want to be a product manager? Go build a product. Go find some devs to build that product. You build the requirements document. You define your personas. You write the use cases and you write the vision roadmap and strategy. You don't know what those are? Research what those are and go do it. That experience you will bring into the interview process, and it will evolve who you are. And I guarantee you, your experience by pioneering your own product will be so impactful in your career even after you get into these tech companies. And if you are at a stagnant company, okay, you're trying to get promotions. Remember, I said don't worry about promotions. Just do good work. If you do good work, you should naturally get promotions. And if not, move. Don't be afraid to move. Moving lateral is still growth because you get to extend your mind. My perspective is incredibly unique because I've worked for several big top tech companies and I know how all of them work, or at least the way that what I experience with them, right? I bring that with me, right? My perspective is different than somebody that has worked at a Microsoft for 30 years. They know Microsoft incredibly well, but they don't know how the rest of the world works, right? So there's value in growth. Aggressively pursue growth. And then this is the unavoidable part, right? Okay, the hiring process is stupid. I hate it so much, but I understand that it's a very, very difficult problem. It's a very difficult problem, but you have to learn how the process works, okay? You do have to pass the gauntlet because even if you get the referral, what that does is it fast tracks you to the interview process, but you still have to pass that, and that's fair. But especially with PM roles, you're asked like the same like 12 questions like again and again and again. And I think people make mistakes in that they answer the question. That's not really what you're supposed to do. Think about why they asked the question. Okay, that'll help you. I'll give an example. So one example is tell me a time when you disagreed with your manager, and how did you convince them to do something different? Now, there's some subtle hints in there. Number one, they've assumed that you do that you will disagree with your manager. Why are they asking that? Are you a yes man? Or when you see the right thing to do, will you say something? And can you influence without authority? Because your boss doesn't report to you, you report to them. It's a reverse relationship. Can you convince people that have authority over you? Now, when you're asked that question, that is your opportunity to showcase how you convince people, how you influence, the fact that you will stand up and say the right thing. But if you just answer their question, then you just missed it. You missed it. And the easiest way I think to do this too is that it's not about answering the question. Do you believe that? Even knowing that question, I just gave you some insight. What if you are a yes man? You can't be. Not if you want to be effective. So maybe you should go practice gathering your data and influencing people. Like there's a art to it. Go practice, right? But if you truly believe that that is how you should behave, then when you interview, you're not prepping for an interview. You're just telling them what you know. You're telling them what you believe. There's nothing to prep. That's what you believe. That's what you would do. That's what you have done. And here's when you did it. If anything, you just have to have a good enough memory and just, remember the times that you did it, but believe it. You got to believe it. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. So Jay, what's your end game? What the heck are you doing? Okay. Here's the thing. I'm frustrated with educational systems. I want to facilitate change in thinking. Okay. I want you guys to think differently. I have none of the credentials you've been told that you're supposed to have, yet I'm accelerating faster than anyone I know. And I want to teach you that. I've been in tech for 15 years. For the next 15, I want to help you. I want to help you accelerate. My life is transformed because of what I've done. And I want yours to be there too. I don't want you have to worry about feeding your family. I don't want you to worry about having to do a job you don't want to do. Don't do it. Be in demand. So I help a lot of people. I've been mentoring for a long time. I've taken people that make $40K a year that now make $200K a year. Sometimes it's just simple tweaks on your resume and you can get way more notice than you were before. So I've got a ton of people. This is just in the last, couple of months that I've helped. So here's my special invitation for you. So I'm running something called a Mentor Mesh Accelerator. I told you about my community, Mentor Mesh. I'm running an accelerator called PM Foundations. It's not a boot camp. It's an accelerator. I want to take people like you and help you accelerate your career. This is about lifelong learning, right? I want you to change the way that you think and pursue things differently. I've got coaches from Microsoft, Facebook, Salesforce, and I'm from Twitter. We're going to be your coaches. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to be there to teach you what you need to do. It's going to be 12 weeks long. You're going to join a cohort of other people just like you. We're going to help you personalize your brand on LinkedIn. Get noticed. A lot of you just need to be seen. So let's get you seen. Be a part of that 1%. If you're scared, don't worry. We're with you. Your cohort, we're doing it with you. You're not going to post and nobody's going to like it. We're going to like it because we support you. We're going to get other people to like it. I'm going to post and my 16,000 followers are going to see your posts as well. Let's get seen. We're going to do resume reviews, profile reviews. Let's get you in a good place, right? So we're going to have self-paced videos. We're going to have weekly live talks. We're going to have Ask Me Anything sessions where you can come and just ask your questions. Ask the real questions. We'll give you real answers. Supplemental resources, other books and sources that we think you should look at. It's going to be about 12 weeks. I would estimate 4 to 8 hours a week worth of work. That's basically self-paced. And if you can make it to the live sessions, great. You have an opportunity to ask questions. All right. One of my slides has disappeared. All right. So I'm going to go off of memory here. As you notice, this slide shows up twice. So basically the 7 steps that I talked about, that's what we're covering in the accelerator, right? I want to show you how to step through every single one of these and actually physically implement those things into the way that you think and how you do projects, right? So everything that I'm talking about, this is my philosophy. This is what I believe. And this is what took me from an office assistant to what I am now. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you're going to see my career is not over. I'm at a place in my life where I have enough money to spend it on my passion projects. And that's what this is. My passion is you. I want to see you guys do what I wish I would have done earlier if somebody would have told me. So I want to be your somebody. Who are your coaches? So these are your coaches. If you guys join mentormesh.io, you'll see all of these posts. But a lot of these we have very different backgrounds. Several people on here don't have degrees. One of them came from a boot camp. Another one was a dev that became a PM. And then a couple of them do have bachelor's degrees. So if you have a bachelor's degree, that's a tool that you can leverage. And you should have a little bit more, maybe of an advantage. But if you have this right mindset, if you implement the things that I'm talking about, I mean, you're definitely set up for success. All right. Who should attend this accelerator? If you want growth, if you want to be a better leader, this is not just for people interested in PM. I'm talking about leadership principles that I've taken across everywhere. This accelerator is for beginners. It's for veterans. If you just want growth, we're going to help you grow. I'm committed to help you grow. If you make less than $400,000 a year, you need to be in this program. That's not a joke, because most people that are even successful in tech make less than that. And you don't have to. You don't have to. You've got the tech world is growing so fast. You have options. Take control of your life. If you can't do what you want to do, come learn how. Okay. Other programs, boot camps, 5K to 15K, is your traditional boot camp. Product school, is like 5K. Good courses, but they're kind of spendy. Udacity, you can take an online course and you'll pay self-paced, but you're kind of by yourself, costs about $1,500. Because I was kind of thinking about, okay, I want this to be something that people can actually do. So when I think about and compare what I'm doing with the rest of the industry, I think my course is probably worth about $2,000, especially if you compare live coaches, right, from big tech companies that have the jobs that you want to have, giving you firsthand experiences and advice. I think this is what it's worth. But I don't want to charge you that because I feel like that's too much money. So I'm going to charge $997 because I think that's way more reasonable. But I love you guys even more than that. So I'm okay with $497 or 3 payments and $195. But special to TechPod, I'm going to cut it down more. Okay. I am literally not making any money off of this program because I got to pay these coaches, but I want to hear the stories. I want to celebrate with you. Right. I love it when I get these emails from people talking about how something I said changed the way they thought and now they got a job. I've got a lot of stories I can share with you. This is important to me. I don't need to make a lot of money, but I do want to make big impact. That's what matters to me. So if you're interested, sign up at mentormesh.io. The accelerator actually starts on Monday. And so that's another reason why I want to, I need to figure out and start organizing my cohorts. So I need people to start thinking about this and signing up today. So for TechPods today, exclusively, if you guys sign up after the webinar, here you go. I'm practically giving this away. Now, my last ask. Remember I said you should post on LinkedIn because it's good for your brand? You know, you want to be seen. A lot of people don't know what to post. Well, here's an idea. If you learned something that was different in this talk, anything that kind of struck you that you're going to take home and you think is kind of important, share it. You don't have to post like knowledge on LinkedIn. Just share your journey. It will resonate with all kinds of people that you meet. Just share it. Talk to them about what you learned. Hashtag MentorMesh so my community can see you. Tag me and I'll come and comment on your post so that my followers see you as well. And let's get you noticed. Join the free community at mentormesh.io and get to know us. I'm there. We're there. You know, you're going to meet people that have the jobs that you want. I think this is critical for your growth because I'm trying to build the program that I wish I would have had. Q&A. I'm sorry. I went over. I promised to leave a couple minutes. I don't think I did. But I'm here as long as you guys want to be here. So I'll leave it up to Joseph. Where'd you go, Joseph? Thank you, Osama. And actually, you guys can, I'm not sure if Joseph is around, but you guys can definitely, oh, there he is. Okay. Let's have that Q&A. So questions. Let me see some questions. So one question was, is it specifically for PM? I think I answered that. Absolutely not. This is for people that want to be leaders. And in my opinion, that should be all of you, because even leader doesn't mean manager. Okay. Remember, I talked about servant leadership. That's everyone on the team. If everybody shows those traits of servant leadership, think about how amazing the culture of your team would be and how great you can execute. This is not about knowing the best technology. If you have the right chemistry with your team, it's worth so much more. Let's see. Okay, what is data in tech? So that can be anything from analytics, so using reporting and analytics tools like Power BI or Tableau. It could be understanding metrics. So anytime you own like websites or any type of online application, you have to get good at interpreting user events. And really, it's just, what are people doing on my website? All that information is stored. Like there's event logs that are created anytime a user does anything. And then you have these data stores that hold that. And then you might put a report or a dashboard over that to just try to understand the way people use data. So that's how it's used on the business side. And a lot of times you have reporting teams that basically curate and create this data for product managers or business folks. I think data and reporting is actually a great place if you're kind of intermediate, where you want to be technical, but not super technical. You'd be surprised how far you can get with just knowing how to write SQL queries or how to write Hadoop queries. You know, so learning that, I think, is one spectrum, but then it goes all the way down to things like data engineering, where you're building pipelines and the integrations between different data systems, and then all the way down to data science, which is about interpreting that data, using the historical data to make predictive assumptions, right? So everything from using data to make business decisions, all the way to processing data, storing data, and using it for future interpretation. So wherever you want to be, wherever you are in a company, you're touching it at some point. Really, it's really about understanding the business and where you want to be. And again, it goes back to like understanding your strengths. I'm not sure what you say when you mean, what would you recommend for someone? So maybe you can clarify. How can we promote ourselves to external teams if we have leadership qualities, but we don't have the specific role credentials to meet basic job qualifications? Promote ourselves to external teams. Remember, this is not about promoting your skill. You know, people tend to go back to domain expertise. How do I prove that I'm good at this job? You need to build relationships and trust first. Prove that you're dependable. Prove that you're reliable. Prove that you do the research and you work hard, and build a relationship that says, I'm a hard worker and I'm reliable. And then go learn on the side. Learn about all the things that these people do, right? This type of role does. Build relationships with the teams that do that. If they know and they trust you and they think you're smart and they know you're learning this, remember, you can't be an expert all the time. tech doesn't stay relevant long enough for that. But if you can show you have the drive and you're proactively learning and you're asking intelligent questions and they have a role opening, number one, if you, for an internal transfer, they could have you in 2 weeks. If they go external and try to hire outside, it could take 2-3 months. So it's actually logistically better for them to choose you. So if they feel like you can do it, I mean, you're going to get the job. All right. How should college students prepare for PMs now? So some of that mindset shift that I talked about, right? The reason it works for me is because a lot of people don't think like that. They are really trying to please their boss. But when you have a company that does that, it's really hard for them to move faster. I think what you see a lot is that these companies have such strong brands that they continue to make money largely off of because of the earlier work that they did. And now their brand is so powerful, everybody just keeps buying from them. And so they lose their innovation and they end up just buying companies in order to keep that innovation. They know they don't even really do it anymore. They just buy this up and comer, and now that team is a part of them. And so that's how they do it. So you got to learn the right mindset, start a business, start a startup if you have the time to do that. Obviously, my accelerator is a good place to learn about that, but I'm very public about what I think, right? You can, I just told you everything. These are the secrets. The point of my accelerator is if you want some help, if you want to learn with a team, because remember, referrals, a lot of these people that you're going to work with in the cohort, many of them, hopefully all of them, will get those tech jobs. And so think about what this means 2-3 years from now. Now you know people. This is not a short-term game. It's not about just getting a job today. You want a job today, go deliver something for Uber Eats. This is about a long-term career. Because these people, as you know and build community, everybody's going to continue to progress in their career. Now you know a lot of people. I know someone in probably every major tech company because of this. I build relationships. So now if I want to go to Google, I know at least about 6 or 7 people pretty well. I can go ask them, what do you think about your opportunity at Google? Should I even consider it? And they can give me a real answer, right? So half of it is about the cohort. So mindset shift, right? A lot of the things I'm talking about, mindset shift and your personal branding on LinkedIn. That doesn't happen overnight. You got to build that. Most people don't even see you until they've seen you at least 4, 5, 6 times. So which means you got to post. If you're posting once a month, I will probably never see you. But if you post fairly regularly, I probably won't read it right away, right? I as in the typical user, but eventually I'm going to see your name again and again. I'm like, who is this person? And then I'm going to stop and actually read what you wrote. So some of it is about showing up consistently. Do that. Imagine you do that for a year or however long you got to do in school. You're going to have like 10, 15,000 followers. You're going to know people. And by the time you graduate, if you've been telling your story the whole time, they're waiting for you to graduate because they want to hear the next bit of your story. Where did she end up? Where did she go? And then you get to tell that story. And when you make that announcement, you've got 15,000 fans that are cheering for you. So that's what you should do. Thank you, Palamo. I don't think there's a question in there. Can you reiterate the difference into the tech world without the degree? How I differentiated myself? The entrepreneurial mindset, right? You remember if you're somebody who goes to college, or even like all of us, right? You go to elementary school, people tell you what to do. You go to college, instructors tell you what to do. You're an intern, senior people tell you what to do. So you're always used to being told what to do. So when you get that corporate job, guess what? You're like, boss, what do you need? If you're an entrepreneur, you don't think like that because it doesn't matter what my boss needs. I'm the boss. And if I can't make an impactful product, nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to care about my service, and I'm going out of business. So it's all about impact. Right? That's how you the thing is, no, I don't have a college degree, but I've built 3 companies. And think how that compares to everybody else around me, who's for the most part built 0. My set of experiences is not like theirs, which is also why I don't think like them. All right. Let's see. What struggles did you face while trying to get your foot in the door for big tech jobs prior to large brand names? Oh, I mean, I got the cliche, you don't have a bachelor's degree. We don't care about you. I mean, I've got a lot of failures in here too. And that's definitely something that I try to share a lot on LinkedIn. But this is why I'm a big proponent of take control of your own life. Stop begging for jobs. Like the world that you live in today is so fortunate. If you want to network, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Twitter, you've got Clubhouse now. If any of you guys are on Clubhouse, you need to get on Clubhouse because I think that's going to revolutionize social media. But you have these networking groups here. You've got Mentor Mesh. Come to Mentor Mesh, meet some people. I mean, you have an opportunity to meet people and to network, and that is super critical for you to be able to be known. Remember? So if people know you and that you build relationships over time, don't just go around introducing yourself and throwing your resume at people, okay? Because nobody likes that. Don't ask for a favor the first time you meet somebody. I'm saying build professional relationships over time. Check in with people, care about what's going on in their life, and they will care about yours. Okay, you do that, opportunities will open up for you. This is what you guys need to do today. Was there ever a time when you felt beaten up? How'd you get back up? Man, all the time. I think I have to, talk myself up a lot, just like everyone else. Imposter syndrome is not something that goes away if you pursue growth, which you should always do. If you are comfortable, that's dangerous. This world changes too fast. The consumer environment, what consumers want, changes too fast. So companies that are complacent go out of business. Employers and employees that get comfortable get laid off. Always aggressively pursue growth. There's no such thing as being safe. Things change too fast. Companies become irrelevant overnight. Amazon was putting businesses out of business well before Corona. So don't get comfortable. That's not your goal. The good news with tech, though, is if you make the right decisions, you make the right moves, not only will you have a good career, you can retire early. And a lot of careers can't offer you that. Now, to answer your question more directly, how did I get back up? You got to remember your why. I've got 4 daughters. I care about their future. I care about the comfort and experiences that they have as young women. I care about that. I want to set a good example for them. You got to get back to your why. Why are you doing this? But you also have to remember that this is a part of growing. You will get beat up. You're going to get beat up. But you're going to learn so much from your failures, more than from your wins. This is how you become the hero of your own story. If you didn't get through challenges, what did you do that was special? Like think of, the maybe some kid that went to some super amazing school and he had a bunch of buddies and landed this job at Microsoft. That's not very impressive. He was supposed to go to Microsoft. You better go to Microsoft. But if you have challenges in your life and things are difficult for you, maybe it's because you're a minority. Do you think when I walk into rooms, people think that Jay is an engineer and they respect my intelligence? Of course not. Are you kidding me? Not only am I a minority and there are not a lot of Black people in tech, I don't have any credentials. What do you think they thought when I come into the room? So yeah, of course, I've been through challenges, but you know what? This is about realizing that you got to get back up. You got to get back up, and you are not defined by what other people think about you. What's great about success is that it's a choice. If you decide you want to be successful, all of the resources are free and online for you. Yes, you can pay for curated content, but the truth is it's all free, right? So success is a choice. You have to decide how bad do you want it. Are you going to study? Are you going to work on your startup? Or are you going to Netflix and chill? I'm not saying you don't need a break. Take your breaks. But we all have enough time. Okay, I know what it's like to burn it on both ends of the candle. I did. I was having a full-time job, doing a paper route, and trying to go to community college at night, and that failed. But I was working end to end, and sometimes when you're in the middle of a transition, you got to do that. But because I did that in my early life and I made that transition, I am not slaving today. I've got amazing work-life balance, more money than I ever thought anyone could even make, let alone me. And I'm here with my kids. I was working from home 4 days out of the week before COVID started. And that wasn't on accident. I chose a company that was very good at work-life balance and didn't mind me being at home because I had a baby. I wanted to see her grow up. So remember your why. That's going to motivate you and push you forward. All right. I'm sorry if I'm missing some of these. My eyes are, I'm getting old. So this is why you got to do it when you're young, so you're not old like me. How big are the cohorts going to be? It depends on the number of students that come, right? So the cohorts may be 20 people or 40 people, 50 people. It kind of depends. Basically, the way we're going to do it is we're going to have a large cohort that has everyone. Why everyone? Because I want you to support each other on LinkedIn, right? We got branding to do. We're going to be seen. But when we start going into smaller working groups, they'll be smaller, maybe like 10 to 15 people per smaller group so that you can intimately get to know each other. But I also want to rotate groups so you get to know people. This is a networking game. You got to know people. That's a big part of being successful is who you know. Because even when you get that job, you got to be very good at working with people. So start now. You don't have to wait for the corporate job to start now, right? So get to know people. It depends on the number of you that sign up. Man, I'm not getting through these fast. What are some ways that students can apply your insights? So that's a really long question because I've given a lot of answers. Follow me on LinkedIn. For one, join mentormesh.io. Okay. I talk to everybody. Follow me on LinkedIn. Give me messages. I'll do one-on-ones with you guys if you guys want to meet up. I have literally probably done 1,000 one-on-ones in the last 6 months. That's not an exaggeration. If those that know me know, I'll take the time. Okay. You might have to wait, but I'll make the time for you. How do you approach seniors hiring officials on LinkedIn? Oh, how do you approach them? To me, okay, old people, speaking from myself, because I'm old in tech, we love to talk. We love to tell you stories. So be sincerely interested in them. You know, if you want to be a senior software engineer or a senior PM, approach one. Somebody that has the job you want and tell them, look, hey, your career looks amazing. I would love to understand how you got there. Can we have like a 15-minute coffee chat? I just want to learn. I'm a student. I want to learn. Now, it's a numbers game. You may have to do this dozens and dozens and dozens of times, but do it because it's worth it. Because not only do they want to talk to you, you're building a friendship and a relationship that could potentially benefit you later. I have never told anyone no. So we can chat. All right. So there's a ton of questions. Apologize if I'm skipping stuff. How do you bring up work-life balance? You don't have to. Don't do that, actually. Here's why. Research the company. Actually, no, let me take that back. When you're junior, don't do that. As you're more senior, I think it's more easier to do that because you're in demand. So I guess it depends on where you are in your journey. I bring it up because they came to me, right? So when you're in a position of authority, you can ask those questions. If you're more junior, really you want to prove your reliability. And sometimes it's worth just dealing with a ridiculous job for a little while, but do your research. There's probably sideways answers that you can answer that question. Don't say, what's work-life balance? That people could interpret that as they don't want to work. Okay. Now that's not because it's true. Of course, that's not true. Unfortunately, I can't control the type of person that's interviewing me. So I'm just trying to be aware of what they could think. When you're early in your career, the signal you want to give is, I am a hard worker. I'm smart. I do the research. I ask the right questions. That's the message you want to give. Now, you can ask subtle questions that kind of will hint to you what work-life balance is without directly asking. You know, like what have you, I don't know. Anyways, you can talk to me offline. I'll come up with some ways, but I'm pretty good at asking sideways questions that kind of get me what they're talking about. Like, what's it been like for the last, few months? You guys have got a lot of stuff on your roadmap. Is there a lot of pressure from management to execute? What's the culture like? Is it very top down? Like asking those types of questions will kind of paint you a picture as to what it might feel like to work there. Because a lot of times it has nothing to do with the amount of work, actually. It has more to do with the boss. It kind of goes back to what I was saying about knowing the boss. So actually, you know what I would do is I would drill more into the boss. If you talk to them, ask them about their style, their expectations. Because just asking that's pretty telling. Are they the kind of boss that'll make you work every night? Because if they're not, they typically, so if they're a boss that loves work-life balance, I found they will typically emphasize that. And so that's actually probably the easiest way to know. Which is a better career? Oh, let me see. What time of day will the live sessions be? That's going to be depending on the cohort. So the first thing I'm going to do is interview or poll everybody in it to see generally the time zones. And I'm going to do my best to make it available to most. But even then, I'm going to switch up the times so that at least you can go to some of them. But they'll all be pre-recorded, and you'll still have a platform to ask questions later. Even if you miss the live stream, you can still ask questions. Which is better, PM or SWE? That depends on you. There's no such thing as better. It only really matters in the beginning, I would say, what motivates you. Because when you start to get to senior levels, you're no longer doing that role anyway. You're a leader. You're collaborating. Now, arguably, PMs have maybe been doing it longer, but really good devs have been doing it the whole time too, right? So if you display those leadership principles throughout your career, then when you get into leadership, you're going to do what you've always done, and you're already good at it. What would you recommend to a college student who wants to stand out, is looking to break? Okay, same thing I said earlier. You got to get noticed, join communities, learn what you can, shift your mindset, right? What are the benefits of the free MentorMesh community? Well, you get to know me. I give a lot of free talks. I answer your questions, other tech PMs, other software engineers. It's not just PMs. We have data scientists that are there. You want to be a data scientist? We have data scientists from Microsoft and Airbnb that are there. Get to know them, ask questions, this is your opportunity to network and get to know people. So that's the type of community I'm trying to build. Sierra, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Shareem, how do you land a PM internship without coding skills? So I got to be honest, I didn't do the internship route, so I can't speak to that. When I joined big tech, I joined at a senior level. So, if you follow up with me after, I can try to figure out like what that looks like. I can even talk to folks at Twitter to see what they do or what they recommend, but I honestly can't speak to that because I've never had one. International students who have limited time to find a job and need sponsorship from companies. Well, big tech companies are a great place for you to get that sponsorship because they can afford it. It's typically not even a part of the hiring decision. They have teams that are really good at hiring international students because we have a lot of them. So definitely focus on big tech students. And you got to think, where are you going to invest your time and money, right? Like, how do you demonstrate, right? To me, it makes me so excited when I see, especially college kids or anyone that's doing their thing and they're aggressively pursuing their careers. They're out there doing their side hustle. Because you know what that tells me? Man, this person, they're serious about their career. They're a go-getter. They're going to do whatever it takes to be successful. Now, I'm not saying everybody views that, but I love it because, man, there's nothing more exciting than impact. And when you can do that and you get to decide the problem, yeah, that's where it's at. The MentorMesh accelerator is the same thing as the PM accelerator. Yes. So MentorMesh accelerator is more of a broad category. I actually plan on doing several different types of accelerators. I want to do another one that's going to be based on data because you guys talk about data. I would love to kind of dive really deep into data for you to help people get the essential skills they need to be efficient in that area. The reason that's important too is like in my career, you see data across my resume. It's not because I chose data. I chose the most difficult and obvious problems to solve, and they were almost always data related, which is why I'm a big advocate of that space. That experience made me qualified for so much, which is why I want to build a very data-focused accelerator. And I also want to build an accelerator focused on cloud computing as well. But a lot of the mindset principles are going to span across all, because that matters regardless if you're a software engineer. You need to collaborate. Nobody is building anything on their own. That's not how this works. You're in a company with 5,000 to 50 to 100,000 people. You got to know how to work with people. Okay. All right. So I think we are getting way over. So I think I'm going to probably have to end this. But I'm really glad you folks joined me. I hope you learned something. Post something on LinkedIn if you did. I'll appreciate it because, again, I want to reach more people like you. Reach out to me. If I didn't answer your question, like I said, this is what I do. This is my passion project because I got myself to a place in my career where I can do what I love. And what I want to do is to take people like you and skyrocket your career past most. Okay. A lot of you have more than what I have. So there's no excuse. Let's do it. Success is a choice. 2021 is a new year. Yes, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, but that does not stop you from progressing in your career. Okay. There's no excuse for that. So let's go get it. But yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to chat more. I'm always up for it. Thank you, everybody. So, Joseph, if you want to squeeze the screen back, you can. I think you had some closing words, maybe.
Yep.
There you go.
I am. All right. Thanks, Jay. I'll take you off now. All right. Wow. That was pretty mind blowing. That was really cool. I learned so much tonight. I am sending you guys all an email with the link to the accelerator if you're interested. And yeah, definitely tag Jay and Mentor Mesh and Tech Pod in a post if you want to post on LinkedIn. We'll make sure to engage with that and give you a boost in your views so you can get seen. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you have a good night, guys. Bye.